My name is Gary Morris, and today's topic is fair use and how it applies to educators. Let's say you are watching the National Geographic Channel and you see a commercial for a documentary that goes along with the unit you are planning to begin next week. So, you decide to record it and show it to your class. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Well, if you're not sure, then it might be good for you to review the guidelines for borrowing various types of media that are covered by the Copyright Act. If you are like me, you've probably seen this hundreds of times, but never really knew what it meant. Well, it's actually referring to Section 107 of the Copyright Act, called Fair Use. This section allows for a portion of the copyrighted material to be used without permission. In order to make fair use of the copyrighted material, it must be used for criticism, commentary, news, teaching, scholarships, or research. Two of these factors relate specifically to educators. When determining if the materials being borrowed are used according to the fair use guidelines, there are 4 factors to look at. If this goes to court, these factors are what the judge will look at to determine your case. Keep in mind that each situation varies based on the context in which the material was used. The first factor to look at is the purpose. Ask yourself this question: what am I using this material for? If you can say it is for teaching a concept, completing a specific project, or doing research, you can move on to the next factor. The second factor to consider is the nature of the material. Is this information important in educating the student, completing the project, or doing research? The amount of material used from the original source plays a key component in determining fair use. If there is only a small amount used, which is not crucial to the new work, then you should be okay to look at the fourth factor. When borrowing material that is covered under the Copyright Act, it is important to look at the effect it will have on its market. By using the material, it should not damage the value of the original work. It is important to remember that there are limitations on the amount of material that can be used from various types of media. Below is a chart that I generated from the information I found on the University of Maryland University's college website. This is only general information and should not be relied on as legal advice. If you would like a poster that you could print off and hang up on the walls of your classroom or in your school building to use as a quick reference, you can go into a search engine and search for copyright guidelines for teachers. The website techlearning.com will open up a PDF that can be printed off that provides more specifics for various types of mediums. Here is a link to the website where you can retrieve this poster. And this poster is 2 pages long. It is something that you can print out and laminate if you would like. No matter the situation though, when it comes to using copyrighted material that is not yours, please remember to use appropriate citations to give credit back to the original owners. Now, remember that these fair use guidelines are simply, well, guidelines. They are not laws that have been written, but rather widely accepted agreements that have been established for meeting the intent of the Copyright Act. They are a flexible set of rules used when copying the work of all others. Always remember, though, that as educators, we are repurposing the work of others to add more meaning to what we are teaching. So, if this is your purpose of using the material, then you should feel more comfortable using the work, as you should be within the guidelines of fair use. Now, let's quickly review what we just discussed on the fair use guidelines of the Copyright Act. Women's rights, Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Good, Dr. Renaud.
We can't use or quote copyrighted material without permission or paying a license fee. When the cost to the copyright holder is less than the benefits for society. Fair use has many strengths. Most of all, it is flexible. But some people find it too vague because it is contextual. Content and situation determine how it applies. Content and situation determine how it applies. We can use or quote copyrighted material without permission or paying a license fee. When the cost to the copyright holder is less than the benefits for society. How will I know when fair use applies to my situation? You must think through these 4 factors: the nature of the use, the purpose of the use, the amount of the use, and the effect on potential markets. But there's really one really important factor: transformativeness. Transformativeness. Transformative add value, repurpose. Transformative add value, repurpose. Transformative add value, repurpose. Transformative add value, repurpose. We can use or quote copyrighted material without permission or paying a license fee. When the cost to the copyright holder is less than the benefits for society. So when you quote or use a copyrighted word, just ask yourself, did I repurpose? Did I add value? Did I repurpose? Ask myself, why did I use it? Is it different from why it was created? If it was, it's probably fair use. Did I add value to the original in terms of the cultural or the money market value? If I did, then it is fair use. We can use or quote copyrighted material without permission or paying a license fee. When the cost to the copyright holder is less than the benefits for society.
Now, using the information we just learned, let's answer the question to our original problem. Can we show all of the video we recorded to the students in our classroom? Before we can answer that question, the first thing we need to determine are all of the factors behind borrowing the copyrighted material. If all 4 components are answered correctly, then we can move on to the second step. Knowing the type of media that is planning to be used, we can look at what the recommended limits are. As long as we fall within those guidelines, then we should be okay by abiding by the fair use guidelines. Finally, we need to determine ways to repurpose the material and add context to make it meaningful to our students. So in summary, we cannot watch all of the video that is a copyright violation. However, we can use part of the video as long as it is for educational purposes and does not diminish the value of the video itself. Now, this topic of fair use aligns with both ISLLC standards 3 and 6. This is because an administrator needs to be familiar with the copyright laws in order to promote and protect the safety of their staff and students. With an understanding of fair use, it helps school leaders guide their staff in making decisions that could result in legal issues, which could have a negative influence on the school. Here are the resources I used. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know.